Hey everyone, welcome to your deep dive all about blue ocean strategy. I know you're all eager to learn about making the competition irrelevant, and we've got some really cool stuff to dig into today.
Yeah.
Excerpts from the expanded edition of Blue Ocean Strategy by W. Chan Kim and Renee Mobborn. So we're going to be pulling out all the key insights so you can walk away with a ton of actionable stuff. Ready to jump in?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
So I think the first thing to understand is that blue ocean strategy, it's not about battling it out in existing, you know,
Okay.
crowded market spaces. It's about finding those uncharted waters, the
Yeah.
blue oceans, where the competition is minimal and demand is just waiting to be unlocked.
Okay, so it's like finding that hidden oasis where you can thrive without constantly looking over your shoulder. Sign me up.
But how do we actually find those elusive blue oceans?
Well, that's where value innovation comes into play.
Yeah.
It's really the cornerstone of this entire framework. And it's not about simply outdoing the competition. It's about making them irrelevant by creating a leap in value for both your customers and your company. So it's not about winning the same old game. It's about changing the rules of the game altogether.
Exactly. The book really challenges us to rethink traditional market boundaries, arguing that they're not fixed and they can be reconstructed. Think of it like this. Imagine a bustling, crowded market where everyone is selling similar products, fighting tooth and nail for every customer. That's your classic red ocean, a bloody, shark-infested battleground.
Yeah, that sounds stressful.
Yeah, it can be. But now imagine sailing away from all that chaos and discovering this pristine open ocean, a blue ocean, teeming with untapped potential. That's the promise of blue ocean strategy.
Okay, that analogy definitely paints a vivid picture. I'm starting to see why this is so appealing. So how do we actually make that leap from the bloody red oceans to the calm, clear waters of the blue ocean?
Well, the authors give us a really practical tool called the 4 Actions Framework, and this helps you analyze your offering and identify opportunities to create that leap in value.
Okay, that sounds promising. Break it down for me.
Sure, so it's all about asking yourself 4 key questions. First, what can you eliminate that your industry takes for granted? Second, what factors can you reduce below industry standards? Third, what should you raise well above industry standards? And finally, what can you create that the industry has never offered?
Okay, so it's a combination of subtracting, minimizing, maximizing, and innovating. A recipe for disruption.
Exactly. And the best way to grasp this framework is to look at a real-world example. You familiar with Yellowtail, the Australian wine? That kind of took the U.S. market by storm.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I remember those.
Yeah.
Bright, colorful labels hit the shelves, and it tasted pretty good, too. But I never realized there was like a strategic framework behind their success.
There was. And they executed the 4 Actions Framework brilliantly. First, they eliminated all that intimidating wine jargon and simplified the experience for casual drinkers. They also did away with the traditional aging process, which streamlined production and cut costs.
So they made it less about snobbery and more about accessibility.
Yeah.
I can see how that would appeal to a much wider audience.
Exactly. Then they reduced the complexity of the wine itself, focusing on a smooth, easy drinking style. That appealed to people who maybe found traditional wines a little too intimidating or fussy. They also kind of downplayed the importance of vineyard prestige, challenging that whole industry obsession with fancy labels and pedigrees.
So they were essentially democratizing wine, making it less about exclusivity and more about enjoyment.
Exactly. But they didn't just eliminate and reduce things. They also raised certain elements strategically. So for example, they elevated the retail experience, creating eye-catching displays and fun, approachable branding. And they priced Yellowtail slightly above the budget wines, signaling a higher value without being intimidating.
Smart. And the create part of the framework.
Yeah.
What did they bring to the table that was completely new?
Well, they created a whole new image of wine, one that was fun, approachable, and unpretentious. No more stuffy vineyards or intimidating labels. Yellowtail was all about kangaroos, bright colors, and easy drinking. And this really resonated with a new generation of wine drinkers who maybe felt excluded by that traditional wine world.
That's brilliant. They tapped into an entirely new market. By understanding what those customers really wanted, it's amazing how a few strategic tweaks can completely change the game. So the 4 Actions Framework, it gives us a roadmap for shaking things up. But how do we actually go about finding those blue oceans in the first place?
Well, the book outlines 6 distinct paths to help you discover these kind of hidden opportunities. It encourages you to look beyond your immediate competitive landscape and explore new perspectives.
Okay, I'm ready for some serious out-of-the-box thinking. Give me path number 1.
All right, so the first path is to look across alternative industries. So don't limit yourself to just what your direct competitors are doing. Instead, look for inspiration from companies in completely different fields that are solving similar problems or addressing similar needs.
Can you give me an example of a company that nailed this approach?
Yeah, for sure. Think about NetJets. They revolutionized private jet travel by looking to the fractional ownership model
Yeah.
used in real estate and other industries. So instead of competing head-on with commercial airlines or traditional private jet companies, they created an entirely new market for people who wanted the luxury of private jets without the full cost of ownership.
Wow, that's a great example of finding a solution in a completely unexpected place. I'm starting to see how powerful this approach can be. Okay, what's path number 2?
All right, path number 2 is to look across strategic groups within your own industry. So strategic groups are clusters of companies that compete on similar factors, like price quality or features.
So instead of focusing on your closest rivals, you're looking at that broader competitive landscape and identifying opportunities to create a hybrid offering. That borrows the best elements from different groups.
Exactly. A great example of this is Curves, the fitness company. They saw a gap in the market for women who wanted a supportive, no-frills workout environment without the high cost and intimidation factor of traditional gyms. So they blended the best of home workouts and traditional gyms, creating a women-focused, affordable, and super convenient option.
That's a clever way to cater to an underserved market. They essentially created a new category by combining existing elements in a unique way. Okay, I'm hooked. What's path number 3?
All right, so path number 3 is to look across the chain of buyers. And this is about challenging the traditional assumptions about who your target customer is.
So we're not just thinking about the end user, but considering the entire ecosystem of buyers and influencers.
Exactly. A classic example of this is Bloomberg. They revolutionized financial data delivery by shifting their focus from the IT departments, who typically made purchasing decisions, to the actual users of the data, the traders and analysts.
That's a great insight. By understanding the needs and priorities of the end users, they created a product that was so valuable that users themselves demanded it, bypassing those traditional gatekeepers. Okay, what's path number 4? I'm on a roll.
Path number 4 is to look across complementary product and service offerings. So think about the entire customer experience and identify any pain points or unmet needs that your product or service could address.
So it's about looking beyond the core offering and finding ways to enhance that overall value proposition.
Exactly. The book gives the example of Philips creating a self-cleaning tea kettle for the UK market. They recognized that the value of a tea kettle wasn't just about the kettle itself, but also about the quality of the water used to make the tea. So by addressing the problem of limescale buildup in kettles, they created a leap in value for customers.
That's so clever. They addressed a seemingly unrelated problem to enhance the core value of their product. I'm starting to see blue ocean opportunities everywhere now. Okay, give me path number 5.
All right, path number 5 is to look across functional or emotional appeal. So most industries, they tend to focus on either functionality or emotion. But there's often an opportunity to create a blue ocean by flipping the script.
So if everyone else is emphasizing practicality, you can find a way to inject emotion and vice versa.
Exactly. The book uses the example of QB House, which transformed the barbershop experience in Asia. Traditionally, haircuts were seen as this lengthy, ritualistic experience, but QB House flipped this on its head, offering a quick, hygienic, no-nonsense service for busy professionals.
That's a great example of challenging the emotional expectations of an industry. They tapped into that growing desire for efficiency and convenience, creating a blue ocean in the process.
Okay.
Bring on the final path.
All right, the 6th and final path is to look across time. And this is about understanding the underlying trends that are shaping the future of your industry and positioning yourself to capitalize on those shifts.
So it's about being ahead of the curve, anticipating those waves of change before they crest.
Exactly. Think about Apple and the launch of iTunes. They capitalized on the rising trend of digital music and file sharing, creating a platform that made it easy for people to buy and manage their music online.
That was a game changer. They saw the future of music consumption and built a blue ocean around it. These 6 paths are incredibly insightful. So you've given me a whole new set of lenses to view the world with. But creating a blue ocean, it's not just about having a brilliant idea, is it? It's also about having a solid plan to bring that vision to life.
Absolutely. And that's what we'll explore in the next part of our deep dive, strategic sequencing. It's all about ensuring your blue ocean idea is commercially viable and minimizing the risks associated with innovation.
This is getting really interesting. I can't wait to dive into that in part 2 of our deep dive. Stay tuned, folks. Welcome back. I don't know about you, but I'm still buzzing from those 6 paths to uncovering blue oceans. It's like a whole new way of looking at the world.
Yeah, definitely a powerful framework for spotting opportunities that others might miss. But like we touched on at the end of last time, finding a blue ocean is just the first step. You need a solid plan to actually navigate those waters and make sure your venture is a success.
Right, because even the most brilliant idea can sink without the right execution.
Yeah.
And that's where strategic sequencing comes in, right? It's about making sure all the pieces fall into place.
Precisely. Strategic sequencing is about mitigating risk by getting the order of operations right. It's like building a house. You wouldn't start with the roof before laying the foundation.
So what's the foundation of a successful blue ocean strategy?
Well, the book highlights 4 key elements that need to be carefully sequenced: buyer utility, price, cost, and adoption. So first and foremost, you need to ensure your offering provides exceptional utility for your target buyers.
Right. That makes sense. You can have the coolest product in the world, but if it doesn't solve a real problem or fulfill a genuine need for your customers, it's going nowhere.
Absolutely. And once you've established that strong buyer utility, you need to set the right price. The book provides a really useful tool here called the price corridor of the target mass. And it's about finding that sweet spot where your price is attractive to a large enough market while still ensuring profitability.
So it's a balancing act between value and affordability.
Exactly. You need to consider the price points of alternative products and services that your target customers might choose instead, even if they're not direct competitors. Remember how Ford priced the Model T against horse-drawn carriages? Not other automobiles.
Oh, wow.
They understood their target market and positioned their product accordingly.
That's such a good example. It's about understanding the customer's perspective and finding a price that makes your offering irresistible compared to their other options.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got buyer utility and price nailed down. What's next in the sequence?
Next step is to address your costs. You need to ensure that your business model is sustainable and that you can produce your offering at a cost that allows for a healthy profit margin.
Okay, and this is where things can get a little tricky, right? Especially for innovative products or services, where you might not have those established supply chains or production methods.
Yeah, it can definitely be a challenge, but it's a crucial step. The book actually warns against what they call the technology trap, where companies become so enamored with cutting-edge technology that they neglect the cost implications. They give examples like the Philips CDI, which was this technologically advanced product but ultimately flopped because it was just too expensive for the mass market.
So it's not enough to just have a cool gadget or a groundbreaking innovation. You need to make sure it's financially viable in the long run. Okay, so we've got buyer utility, price, and cost in order. What's the final piece of the strategic sequencing puzzle?
The final element is adoption. So even with a fantastic product at the right price, you need to ensure that your target market understands and embraces your offering. And this involves everything from marketing and communication to distribution and sales.
So it's about getting the word out, building excitement, and making it easy for people to experience the value you're offering.
Exactly. And it's important to consider any potential hurdles to adoption. Are there any existing habits or beliefs, or even infrastructure, that might create resistance to your blue ocean idea?
Like if you were introducing a revolutionary new transportation system, but the existing infrastructure wasn't compatible with it, that would be a major hurdle to overcome.
Precisely. Strategic sequencing is about anticipating these challenges and addressing them proactively. It's about thinking through the entire customer journey and ensuring a smooth transition to your blue ocean.
This whole concept of strategic sequencing is so valuable. It really highlights the importance of having that holistic view of your business and anticipating potential roadblocks. But even the most meticulously planned strategy can falter if you don't have the right people on board right now.
Absolutely. The human element is crucial to the success of any blue ocean strategy. And that's where the next principle comes in: fair process. It's about building trust and buy-in within your organization to ensure that everyone is aligned and motivated to execute the vision.
Yeah, this really resonates with me. I've definitely seen firsthand how resistance to change can sabotage even the best laid plans. People need to feel like they're part of the process, not just pawns in someone else's game.
Exactly. The book emphasizes that execution can't be an afterthought. It needs to be baked into the strategy from the very beginning. And fair process is a key ingredient. It's about transparency, open communication, and creating a sense of ownership among everyone involved.
Okay, so fair process is about creating a culture of collaboration and trust. But how do you actually implement that? What does it look like in practice?
Well, the book provides a really powerful example of fair process in action, and it's the transformation of the New York City Police Department in the 1990s. Under the leadership of Police Commissioner Bill Bratton.
I've heard about that. That was when crime rates were just skyrocketing in New York City.
Yeah, it was a very challenging time. Crime was rampant, morale was low, public trust in the police had really eroded. But instead of coming in with a top-down authoritarian approach, Bratton adopted a radically different strategy. He engaged officers at all levels, listening to their concerns and seeking their input in developing a new approach to crime fighting.
So he flipped the script.
Yeah.
And made the officers part of the solution, not just the enforcement.
Precisely, and it was a remarkable success. Crime rates plummeted, morale soared, and the NYPD became a model for other police departments around the world.
That's an incredible story. It really highlights how empowering people and giving them a voice can lead to extraordinary results. So if we're thinking about applying Blue Ocean strategy to our own organizations or even our own careers, fair process needs to be front and center, right?
Absolutely. It's not just about the what of the strategy. It's about the how. It's about bringing people along on the journey, making sure they understand the why behind the change, and giving them a stake in the outcome.
This is so insightful. It's really shifting my perspective on leadership and change management. But even with the best intentions and a strong commitment to fair process, we can still run into roadblocks, right? Like our own thinking can sometimes get in the way.
You're absolutely right. The book talks about the challenge of overcoming what they call cognitive hurdles. These are those deeply ingrained beliefs and assumptions that can prevent us from seeing blue ocean opportunities. It's like wearing a pair of glasses with a limited field of vision. You might miss what's right in front of you.
So how do we ditch those limiting lenses
Yeah.
and expand our perspective?
Well, the book introduces the concept of what they call tipping point leadership. And it's about creating those aha moments that shatter old assumptions and inspire people to embrace change.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about tipping point leadership. How do you create those aha moments?
It's not just about presenting a well-reasoned argument or overwhelming people with data. It's about creating visceral experiences that make people feel the need for change. The book uses a rather striking analogy here. They call it the electric sewer.
An electric sewer. That sounds intense.
It's definitely a vivid image, but the idea is that you need to confront people with the harsh realities of the current situation, not just with abstract concepts, but with tangible experiences that make them feel the urgency for change.
Like Bill Bratton did with the NYPD when he made his senior officers ride the subway to experience firsthand how bad the situation had become.
Exactly. It's about creating those moments of truth that shatter complacency and open people up to new possibilities.
Wow, that's a powerful approach. It's about appealing to both the head and the heart, making people understand and feel the need for change. So we've created those aha moments, and people are ready to embrace the blue ocean vision. What's next? How do we channel that energy and ensure that the strategy actually gets executed?
Well, that's where the next few principles come into play. Kingpins, fishbowl management, and atomization. These are all about turning that initial enthusiasm into concrete action and sustainable change.
Okay, break it down for me. What are kingpins, and what role do they play in driving change?
So kingpins are those key influencers within an organization who have the respect and credibility to really move the needle. They're the ones who can rally others around a shared vision and overcome resistance to change.
So it's about identifying those natural leaders and empowering them to champion the blue ocean strategy.
Exactly. It's about leveraging those existing networks and relationships to create a ripple effect throughout the organization.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about finding the right people to carry the torch and inspire others to follow. Okay, what about fishbowl management? That sounds intriguing.
So fishbowl management is all about transparency. It's about making the change process as visible as possible so everyone can see what's happening, who's involved, and what the results are.
So no more behind closed-door decision-making. Everything's out in the open.
Precisely. It's about bringing everything out into the open, celebrating successes, acknowledging challenges, and creating a shared sense of accountability.
I can see how that would really foster trust and encourage collaboration. When people feel like they're in the loop, they're much more likely to be supportive. Okay, and what's the final piece of the execution puzzle? Atomization.
Atomization is about breaking down the change initiative into smaller, more manageable chunks. It's about creating a clear roadmap, setting realistic milestones, and celebrating those small wins along the way.
Because trying to change everything all at once can be overwhelming and lead to paralysis.
Exactly. Atomization is about making the change process feel less daunting and more achievable. It's about taking those big, audacious goals and breaking them down into bite-sized pieces that people can actually wrap their heads around and act on.
This is so helpful. I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together to create this powerful framework for driving meaningful change. We've covered fair process, tipping point leadership, kingpins, fishbowl management, and atomization. Is there anything else we need to know about execution before we move on?
There's one final principle that's crucial for sustaining your blue ocean over time, and that's dynamic renewal. It's about recognizing that even the most successful blue ocean won't stay pristine forever.
Right, because eventually the competition will catch on. The market will evolve, and what was once a unique offering might become commonplace. So how do you stay ahead of the curve and ensure that your blue ocean doesn't turn into a red ocean?
That's what we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive. Stay tuned. It's about to get really interesting.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into blue ocean strategy. It's been a wild ride exploring these uncharted waters, but the big question now is, how do we keep our blue ocean from turning red?
Well, that's where dynamic renewal comes in. It's the art of staying ahead of the curve, anticipating market shifts, and constantly reinventing your value proposition to keep those pesky competitors at bay.
So it's about being proactive, not reactive, not waiting for the sharks to start circling before we make a move.
Exactly. It's about constantly monitoring your value curve and looking for ways to kind of refresh your offering and stay relevant. Remember Salesforce.com? They've been a masterclass in dynamic renewal.
Oh yeah, they're the CRM giants, right?
Yeah.
But how have they managed to stay at the top of their game for so long? I mean, the tech world is notoriously fast-paced and competitive.
It's all about continuous innovation. They haven't just rested on their laurels. They've constantly evolved to meet the changing needs of their customers and preempt the competition.
Okay, so walk me through their journey. How did they go from creating a blue ocean to dynamically renewing it over time?
Okay, so the first blue ocean was in the early 2000s when they pioneered on-demand CRM automation. They made it simple, affordable, and accessible, and completely disrupted that traditional software model. But they knew that wouldn't be enough to stay ahead forever.
So what do they do? How do they keep things fresh?
Well, they launched Force.com, which was this cloud-based platform that allowed customers to build their own custom applications. On top of Salesforce's CRM system, it was like opening up a whole new world of possibilities, making their offering even more valuable and sticky.
So they weren't just providing a product, they were providing a platform for innovation.
Exactly. And then they went a step further and created App Exchange, which was this online marketplace where businesses could buy and sell pre-built applications. That integrated with Salesforce.
Oh, wow. So it's like the App Store for businesses.
Right.
They essentially created an entire ecosystem around their core product, making it even more indispensable.
Exactly. And they didn't stop there. They continued to innovate with products like Chatter, which was a private social networking platform for businesses. They saw the rise of social media and found a way to kind of bring that collaborative energy into the workplace, making communication and teamwork more seamless.
So the key takeaway here is that staying in blue ocean requires this constant state of evolution. It's about always looking for the next wave, the next way to add value, and stay ahead of the curve.
Exactly. It's about cultivating a mindset of continuous improvement and innovation, both within your product or service and within your organization as a whole.
This entire deep dive has been incredibly insightful. We've learned so much about identifying blue oceans, developing the right strategy, and ensuring flawless execution. But as we wrap things up, what's the one piece of advice you would give to someone who's ready to embrace blue ocean thinking in their own work or life?
I think the most important thing is to challenge your assumptions. Don't be afraid to question the status quo, to look beyond the boundaries of your industry, and to explore unconventional possibilities. If you can break free from those limiting beliefs, the blue ocean opportunities are truly endless.
That's such a powerful message. I mean, if companies like Cirque du Soleil can transform the circus industry and Ford can revolutionize transportation, imagine what we can achieve in our own fields if we dare to think differently.
Exactly. Remember, blue oceans aren't just out there waiting to be discovered. They're created by people who are willing to challenge the rules, push the boundaries, and imagine a new reality.
It's been an amazing journey exploring blue ocean strategy with you. To all our listeners out there, I encourage you to keep exploring, keep asking those tough questions, and never stop looking for those blue oceans. Until next time, happy sailing.
Did you get any of that?